Joining me now in studio, the chairman of Annandale Capital and conservative analyst George See. Thanks so much for being with us.
Glad to be with you all.
I want to start, we just heard the story about Ross Perot. You were telling me during the break that you've known him well over the years. Can you share some of your memories of him and his legacy?
I've got lots of very good memories, and it's a great American life and one to celebrate tonight, even though it's sad for his family at his passing. But he lived life to the fullest. He was full of energy, full of patriotism. And I remember one time when Mitt Romney ran for president the first time around, we had a small gathering for Mitt at the Perot's home, and Mr. Perot and I were coordinating getting then Governor Romney in a helicopter from Fort Worth at a fundraiser to Love Field, and then jetted over to his house in a limousine. And it was really funny to see him with full command get all those logistics down razor sharp very quickly. He was always in command, and he always knew what he wanted, and he always knew what to do.
Interesting. What impact do you think he had on politics nationally and here in the state of Texas?
Well, people forget that he led the war on drugs under Governor Clements, and then he led the major educational reform effort under Governor White, and they were both two very impactful, positive things for the state of Texas. And also, it's kind of urban legend among Republicans that he cost George H.W. Bush the second term in the presidency, and the facts don't support that. The facts say that the exit polls revealed that of the Perot voters, about half would have voted for President Bush otherwise, and about half would have voted for Governor Clinton otherwise. So he stole kind of equally from both candidates. So I think President Bush actually was cost re-election by read my lips, no new taxes, and the unfortunate fact that we went into recession before the election, and that made some people sour about the economy.
You mentioned Texans and president. We have two Texans running for president right now in the Democratic field. For Beto O'Rourke and Julian Castro, what do you think they need to do to kind of break out and gain more traction nationally?
I don't think they're going to break out. I think that they're running out of money, and Secretary Castro had a very good debate and at the expense of his fellow Texan. But I think Texans and Americans need to look more in terms of who is really qualified to be president. And there's several senators and Vice President Biden in the Democratic side that are clearly qualified to be president, including some governors. But I would argue that Representative O'Rourke, with a few terms in Congress, and Secretary Castro being mayor of San Antonio, and then Secretary of HUD, which is a pretty minor federal agency, aren't really well qualified and positioned to be president. And I think the Democrats should be looking to other candidates, although I would love for a Texan to win.
You mentioned Secretary Castro having a good performance in the debate. Given what you're saying, I'm assuming you don't think that that's enough to give him a chance in this field.
I don't. In my opinion, subjective. I think the object facts would be that his poll numbers haven't moved a whole lot. And I think breaking into those top 4 or 5 candidates that had clearly segregated from the rest of the pack is going to be very, very difficult. And I think a candidate's got to raise a lot of money and have a compelling debate performance to actually do that. And I think the mayor of South Bend is probably best positioned to make an attempt at that. But I think this police shooting that happened recently on his watch has hurt him tremendously, because that's such a fiery issue among the Democratic base.
Changing subjects here, the surge of migrants at the border continues. What do you think is the solution there?
I love debating people from New England or the upper Midwest about these issues, because they're so far removed from it, and their states are not very diverse ethnically, so they have no idea how bad our crisis is down there. It's horrible. Neither political party has fixed it. A pox on both their houses for not fixing it. It's tragic, and we have a huge humanitarian crisis and a security crisis. We really don't know who's coming across a lot of the time and what kind of ill they might wish on the United States. So it's compelling. It's a DEFCON 5 issue, and I wish we'd solve it, but I'm not too hopeful in the near term.
When you have a situation like this that is as serious as it is, people want to point fingers, they want to place blame. Do you see blame assigned to anyone, or is there blame to go around?
I think there's blame to go around, actually. I think right now the major blame is with the Democrats, because a lot of them were pro-border security, have flipped because they can use that issue against President Trump and to cast aspersion on him. But the reality is the Republicans could have had an immigration deal a decade ago under President Bush, and it didn't go far enough from them from a conservative standpoint, so they voted against it. This problem could have not been solved, but greatly mitigated in terms of its magnitude if we'd just done that then. So I think both sides have fault to take responsibility for in the issue. The bottom line is the American people need solutions for problems. And I don't care what your political stripe is, you need to get things done, and they're not getting things done.
This, as we're alluding to here, has become a highly political issue. How do you see this playing with Hispanic voters here in Texas?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because a lot of our Hispanic American citizens feel the same way about the border as as other people do. Most of them came here legitimately, and those who did not have assimilated and come into the fold in terms of being part of America and contributing to the economy and everything else. And I think they want secure borders, and I don't think they want a whole lot of people coming in here who don't do it the proper way, especially the ones who came in legally and appropriately. So I don't think it's a wedge issue with Hispanics. I think a lot of them are very fair-minded, and they want solutions. They don't want a continuing problem, because it's bad for everybody if we have a continuing crisis that just doesn't go away.
Our economy continues to thrive here in Texas. What do you think is responsible for that, and why do you think we continue to see the growth that we are seeing?
Well, it's pretty amazing. We've had about a 30-year success story. After the terrible recession we had in the late 80s here, it's been almost a straight growth trajectory ever since. The Great Recession of 2007 to 2009 really didn't impact us much around here, and a lot of it is due to the diversity of our economy. We used to be an agricultural and banking and oil and gas economy, and those are all just small fractions of our economy now. Healthcare, technology, telecommunications, software, still finance. We're just such a diverse place, and everybody wants to come here. It's the clustering effect. Once you have prosperity, it draws other people, and the prosperity is likely to continue for a long time, no matter how the rest of the country does.
All right, George, thank you very much. Very
Thank
interesting.
you.
We appreciate it.
Great to be here.
All right, stay with us here on Capitol tonight. We'll be right back.